Okay, so there's no way we're gonna end this season with Shark Attack. I thought that was a good idea, but I don't want to end it like that. I want to end it on something more cosmopolitan and more relaxing, and thus we are going to do Sharks of the World. Specifically, I think this is one of the only videos where I am super cool if you fall asleep to it. Because I think this is gonna be just kind of a relaxing, like, ambient little reading session, because I have two books in front of me. These are both called Sharks of the World. And what I really want to do, as strange as it sounds, is I'll just read off the family names of the sharks in the appendix of the more recent edition and talk about, what I know about the families, but they'll be just little cliff notes. But yeah, I mean, if you're not into sharks, it's going to get very boring. So, but that's kind of the point. It's supposed to be a relaxing, zen, just zone out sort of thing. So have a cup of tea. I don't think this is a coffee thing, ironically. I think this is more of a tea time thing. If you have a fireplace, you should light it and find a cozy chair and have maybe a fantastic midnight snack and just settle in and be comfy. So the books that I'm talking about, before we kind of do this little interesting session, in 2005, I think this is 2005, is a book called Sharks of the World by Leonard Campagno, Mark Dando, and Sarah Fowler. Now, Leonard Campagno is a very big name in the shark world, specifically with shark taxonomy. And he compiled, I want to say in the 80s, kind of the most comprehensive list of shark species. And by the end of that list, he got to about 280 to maybe 300 species. So with this 2005 book, Sharks of the World, which is very famous, it's unprecedented. It's a blue, you've definitely seen this in aquarium bookstores. Actually, yeah, in Barnes & Noble, any kind of bookstore. It's a blue book with a mako shark on it. Specifically, it looks like a short fin mako, Isurus oxyrhynchus. And it's funny, I drew a mustache on mine because this copy is a little bit damaged, so I sometimes cut out the photos to use for projects. So the mustache on my mako shark indicates that this is a dummy copy. But anyway, this book is very, very important. It has documented 440 shark species, which is a big increase from the last time, from like Campagno's most famous compilation in the 80s. And that compilation hasn't really been circulated to the public as well as this book. It's definitely been more for professionals. Oh man. Hear that book sound? Isn't that a nice book sound? Just the turning of pages. And this is a fantastic book in the sense that it not only describes all of these shark species, but it goes into cultural perception. It's like a nice rundown of cultural perceptions of basically almost everything you want to understand about sharks on a not a shallow level, but a it's a core level. We'll call it a core level. This is a core level understanding of shark anatomy, of shark attack, shark body structure, shark evolution, shark ID features. If you have this book, it might be kind of bewildering that I call this like a core level book, but when you get further into science, you realize that there are so many interesting nuances and details that people you can't find unless you really, really become a shark Jedi master and look at the scientific papers. This book is excellent for Padawans or knights maybe, but Jedi masters, you have to look at the shark papers themselves. I like the Jedi analogy when it comes to shark science. There's so much more. You can go deeper. What is that? There was what was it? Last Jedi. The Last Jedi trailer came out, I think 2 weeks ago. So yeah, Luke says something like that. There's so much more. But anyway. What's interesting is that this book is now outdated. It's 2005, but there have been a lot more sharks discovered since then. If you were here for not the last video, but the video before, I mentioned 512 species to date. And something really cool is that the publishers, Princeton Press, they updated this book into a slimmer version, which I'm holding right now. This is a fantastic book. It's called A Pocket Guide to Sharks of the World. Now, this book is white and has an oceanic white tip, Carcharodonus longimanus, on it, surrounded by pilotfish. It has a type of, oh man, it looks like a weasel shark or a smoothhound of some sort that I'm not familiar with. This one is very different. And an angel shark, squatina, I know it's a squatina, but this is also an unfamiliar species. These are both species that are not in my neck of the woods, so it's going to be a while before I learn about them. But that was not descriptive. The smoothhound is very distinct. It's gray with these bright yellow stripes, very, very pretty. And then the angel shark is a gorgeous gray colored pancake with brown and chocolate spots. So anyway, this is by David A. Ebert, Sarah Fowler, and Mark Dando. I don't know why Capagno's not on this, because I think they dedicate it to him partially. And this book covers 501 shark species, so they're only 11 species behind. And it's really hard to keep up with. You know, every year literally every year they discover new sharks. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, genetics. Genetic analysis has really illuminated a lot of secrets in the shark world. Some sharks that are different species are very hard to tell apart from each other. Scalloped hammerheads and Carolina hammerheads, for example, it's a very, very famous example. Recently, I think it was 2013, they realized, wow, these look almost exactly alike, but they're different species, and they both live in the same range. So another big example is piked dogfish and Pacific spiny dogfish, so Squalus acanthius versus Squalus sucklei. And a lot of that is genetics. It's also vertebrate counts. You know, like sharks will have different numbers of vertebrae, like in their backbone, and that's a very tricky difference to you know, identify. But it's a difference between species. So people have been getting better at doing that, better at genetics. Deep water canyons, there's still a lot of deep water areas that we don't know anything about, right? None of them hide Megalodon. There's no way Megalodon exists. Like, oh my god. I should take a bet. I should do something foolish if Megalodon ever was found, because there's no way. Oh my gosh. Sorry, this is relaxing. But there are a bunch of other much smaller shark species that we don't know anything about. And the other thing too is that a lot of great shark research has come from the United States and from Australia, and it's sort of popping up in India. There's strong research from Brazil, but there's a lot of places in the world that do not have the infrastructure or the resources to commit to shark research, and have not explored their waters as extensively as some countries have. So we sort of know what's going on here in America, right? But I mean, look at the Carolina hammerhead. That it's 2013. We've been studying sharks in this country for, oh god, it's probably since 1850s, I want to say, maybe older, but I mean probably older. First shark that was named is Heterodon Maximus. Linnaeus named it. Linnaeus, the father of taxonomy, and that was 17. For some reason, I think it's 1747, which is really strange because Linnaeus named a bunch of sharks in 1758. So white sharks was named 1758, spiny dogfish named 1758, both by Linnaeus. I don't know why the basking shark was named earlier. That could have been a misprint from my source. But anyway, moving on. There's a lot of mysteries that are yet to be discovered. If you are an aspiring shark biologist, you know, I mean, you're in luck. Like, this is still the age of discovery. It feels like it's not sometimes, because it really feels like we've exhausted sharks because they just get so much attention. But the sharks that get so much attention are just a very limited amount of species. And even those, like, white sharks, there's still a lot of things we don't know about white sharks. So the field is still young, and if you are interested in shark biology, pursue it. do it. You might make a fantastic discovery and be a critical piece in the pyramid of science, I guess. It's cool. I really am excited that there's still a lot more mysteries to explore, and there's going to be a lot of things that's going to happen in my lifetime. Like, there's going to be a lot more species discovered. But anyway, let's proceed to the reading. So I'm skimming my copy of Pocket Guide to Sharks of the World. It doesn't have as nice a book sound because it's all plasticky pages, or I don't know what you call that, like laminated pages. I'm an author, I should know this, but I mean, because like Sharks of the World, the original copy has that nice paper feel, I'm kind of being a book nerd right now, but if you like books, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, moving on to the back, to the appendix. I think this is going to be the best way to do this, because they sum up everything really nice. Also, one thing about this book that I really like is they have like a fun little diagram of oceans and seas, and they name different habitats. So, epipelagic, mesopelagic zone, they kind of identify like what are the delineations between those things. Bathyal, abyss, neritic province, reefs, sublittoral, inshore. Like, these are very important terms, but it's hard to get a handy source of them, right? Oh, and hey, they got a lot of great shark measurement stuff too, so. But here we go. So, sharks of the world. What are the sharks of the world? What are their main groups, and like what are their body types? Like there's a lot of different species, and starting with one of the characteristically oldest orders, we've got the Chlamydoselacidae, which are known as the frilled sharks. So in this book there are two species of frilled sharks. This is Chlamydoselacius africana, Chlamydoselacius inguineus, and I'm not going to read every single species. That would be horrifying. That would be very, very atrocious. But, and I don't know much about frilled sharks other than they're these very elongate, deepwater eel-like things, like a really beautiful prehistoric look, which is kind of strange to say because I think, I thought I read somewhere that the most quote-unquote prehistoric-looking shark is the piked dogfish, and that all other sharks are sort of like pike dogfish is a very basal species, or that genus, Squalus, is a very basal genus, and then other species just kind of sort of branched off from that archetype, but definitely don't quote me on that. I thought that was something I read. I really should not make assumptions like that, but it's interesting. It's hard to really say, like, what does prehistoric mean? What does an ancient look really mean? Because how recently have different branches of sharks evolved, right? Like, how does that go? And it's under debate. That's what taxonomy is. A lot of people just get so frustrated as to what is what and why. So I'm not going to make guesses. That's bad. Another family, Hexanchidae, the cow sharks. So these are 7-gill and 6-gill sharks. I don't know why they're called cow sharks. They're pretty fat. They have one dorsal fin. They're the only sharks in the world, along with the frilled sharks, that just have one dorsal fin. And they have these very smooth backs. Very slow-moving species. In my part of the world, we have a couple in the deep water, but on the west coast of the United States, you have Notoricus sepidianus. Did I get that right? Yeah, I got that right. That's the broad-nosed 7-gill shark, and that's a coastal species, coastal deepwater species. But you can theoretically dive with it, scuba dive with these guys, which is super cool. It's very strange to me because, the cow sharks that I have here, you have to go very, very far, deep in order to find them. But it's cool that in California, they're much closer. Now, here's something interesting. Cow sharks and frilled sharks are part of Hexanchiformes, and that's an old order. But this group, this next group, Echinorynidae, which are the bramble sharks, they recently are recognized as their own order, possibly. I think that is also something under the debate, but a Chinorhynchidae used to be part of squaliforms, but in a couple different sources, people have decided these sharks are so unique and so different from all other sharks that they really should be their own group. What's weird about bramble sharks is that they have these very enlarged denticles on their body, so they do look very brambly and rough and prickly in appearance, and no other shark looks like that. So it's a very strange, unique group and lives in the deep water. We have a bramble shark in the Atlantic. I'm not sure where prickly sharks live, but bramble sharks, Echinorinus brucus, you can find them in the deep water canyons here, which is super cool. Next we have Squalidae, which is undoubtedly squaliform. This is the dogfish sharks, or these are the dogfish sharks, and there's a bunch of them. There's like 30 of these guys. And just classic sharks. They do not have an anal fin. They do have these spines on their back, and in some cases, like pike dogfish, spines are venomous. I've heard they're slightly venomous. The spines are pretty cool in the sense that some sharks, like pike dogfish, spines are pretty short, whereas other sharks, they're long. I think, what's Sergalius? Spur dogs have long spines. Yeah, very, very big schooling species. They love to be in these giant packs, hence their name dogfish. And a key component of many of the world's economies that are dependent on sharks. So dogfish they used to be synonymous with abundance, I think. But now a lot of populations are crashing. And whenever we say dogfish, we usually think about the pike dogfish, but there's quite a few of them that do not get as much attention. Let me see if I can find some strange names. There's Taiwan spur dog, Cuban dogfish. Oh man, short-nosed spur dog, black-tailed spur dog. I don't even know what these are. Bar-tail. I have never heard of a bar-tailed spur dog. Squalus nodocaudatus. That might be a new species. The Cyrano spur dog. That's really cute. Named after Cyrano de Bergerac. So, anyway. Moving on, Centrophoridae, the gulper sharks. This might be one of the most annoying groups. People get they're under a lot of debate, like which ones belong where, like how they relate to each other, which ones are new species, which ones are not. Gulper sharks live in deep water. I talked about them, I think, in my ecoregions video. They're kind of like fatter dogfish, very, very pretty. Yeah, I really shouldn't repeat it. They click on the ecoregions video because I have a rather poetic description of them. But I believe we have one of these gulper sharks here in the mid-Atlantic, but it's under debate which one it is. And I think it's well documented that it lives here, but not many people know exactly what it is. Etmopteridae, lantern sharks. Bunch of lantern sharks. These are the cutest and smallest sharks in the world. Maybe not the cutest, because some people think they're a little gross, but these sharks light up. They have these organs called photophores on their belly. They're not the only sharks to light up. Somniosidae, the sleeper sharks, like the Greenland sleeper shark, there are members of that family who also have photophores, which is a recent discovery. I don't know if they're active, and they're definitely not as active as the lantern sharks, but that is something that has recently been documented. Photophores, if you don't know, those are basically the light up organs on the belly of sharks, and like in other animals like viperfish and lanternfish, like they're in different parts of the body. They light these like bluish colors or these light colors, and they're their way to see in the dark, but also communicate in the dark, in the abyss, in the twilight and midnight zones, and also a way to distract predators. Maybe to divert their attention or to stun them, to make them kind of gaze in awe and be confused as to, wow, what's going on. So I don't know. But yeah, I already said Somniosidae, sleeper sharks. So these are like the Greenland sleeper sharks. Very, very big animals and slow-moving, deep water not serpentine, almost serpentine. But some of their teeth have been used for as like they're very, very sharp, and certain tribes and certain cultures have used their teeth to cut. I forget what it is. It's like I think to give a haircut. I think to cut hair. I think they're so sharp and so precise that you can use them to cut hair. So yeah, pretty crazy. Oxynotidae, Ruff Sharks. So this is not a very popular family, but they're super cool. Probably the craziest looking shark in existence. They look like triangles. They look like, or sea pyramids. They look like pyramids with fins. So these are prickly dogfish, Caribbean Ruff Sharks, Japanese Ruff Sharks. They have these very, very tall dorsal fins. Actually, all of their fins are pretty long. These kind of like funny, pudgy snouts, but triangular bodies. Really weird looking. Really, really, really cool. Probably the artsiest shark in existence, Ruff Sharks. Got Dilatiidae, the kitefin sharks. So this includes the infamous cookie cutter shark. These guys will latch onto submarines and whales and other like large animals, and wriggle their bodies in such a way where they make a clean, complete circular cut, which sounds really nasty actually. But Pristiophoridae, saw sharks. Now these are not sawfish. Saw sharks are different. Sawfish is a type of ray, and sawfish are critically endangered across the world. Saw sharks, I think, have equally endangered status, but they're more mysterious and not really well known. Arguably the most mysterious group of sharks. They're never popular, and kind of true to their name, they have they're sharks with these very, very long snouts with all these like teeth on the sides. I mean, they look a lot like sawfish. What separates them is that their fins, their pectoral fins, are not attached to the side of their head. In rays, like the sawfish, the pectoral fins are, and it's this smooth shape. Like the head is flattened and it just slowly curves into the fin. It's this one continuous unit. Whereas in saw sharks, the fins are definitely like, they look like attached to the side of the body, but they're definitely separate. They're kind of contained as their own unit. They're not. They're separate on the side of the head. Like the head and the rostrum are their own thing, and the fins are different. So I did not really explain that well, but if you compare pictures between sawfish and saw sharks, and when you look up saw sharks, type in Pristiophorus, get the scientific name right. That's Pristiophorus. And you could see the difference between them and sawfish. So both vulnerable groups, because the rostrum is very prized amongst different cultures, and it's also very easy to get tangled into different types of nets. So next we have Squatinidae, the angel sharks. This is one of my favorite groups. Sand devil falls into this group. These are all the pancakes, the wonderful, wonderful pancakes that are actually pretty feisty. You never want to mess with an angel shark. They're pretty brave. They'll go after a diver like 3 times its size. They're a little bit territorial, but they have these very nasty, needly puppy teeth, and they're kind of like a flat trap shark. They're just they lie in wait. They're ambush predators, and other sharks or other fish will kind of be in their area, and they'll just like lunge at them and like launch their jaws forward, and it's a fantastic trap. It's kind of like a bear trap or a snare trap like that. It's cool to see like a living biological trap on the seabed. But they're also pancakes. Very, very cute. Never want to mess with it. Some of them are critically endangered also. The archetypical, like the actual angel shark, Squatina, critically endangered. And I believe it lives in Europe. I think it is restricted to, it has a European distribution. But that's really upsetting though. I hope I don't see it go extinct in my lifetime, but I mean, it's a possibility if it's critically endangered. Angel sharks, since they live on the bottom, and they're ambush predators, they are susceptible to bottom trawling, so that's a big problem. Next we have Heterodontidae, the bullhead sharks. These are super cute. Did I say something else was cute before? Because this is actually the cutest shark in the world. These have to be the cutest sharks in the world. So bullhead sharks, probably one of the most famous is the horn shark, which lives in the west coast of the United States. But also the Port Jackson shark from Australia, very, very famous. Zebra bullhead shark from Japan. And, oh yeah, they have a Japanese bullhead shark. But these guys have these cute, square, like chubby faces, and they eat only mollusks. They have these great crushing teeth, and they lay eggs. They lay these really pretty corkscrew-shaped eggs, and they're usually very pretty in themselves. They have these nice cream-colored black spot patterns, or these wonderful like striped patterns, or they're super cute. And some of them have spines. I made a mistake. I think I said spiny. I think I said dogfish are the only sharks that have spines, but these guys also have spines. Horn sharks have the horns on their dorsal fins. So, but this is a very adorable group. All right, now we're gonna move on to lamniform sharks, right? So you got Mitsucarinidae, the goblin shark, one of the ugliest sharks on the planet. Contrary to popular belief, a goblin shark will, like, in life, it looks like it has, their faces look like a shovel, like one smooth blade, if you will. And then they'll launch their jaws out to grab prey. In depth, the jaws extend, so it has that goblin-y look with like a big nose and a big mouth, right? If you've seen pictures and early illustrations of goblin sharks, it will be the jaws extended, but that's not how the animal swims. The animal swims with the jaws retracted into the head as a single smooth unit. So there's a great video of a diver getting bit by a goblin shark, and he's okay. It's just the goblin shark just lunged at him on his arm. And what's interesting about that video is, like, the diver is not in the deep ocean, even though goblin sharks are a deep ocean species. The diver is diving at night, and certain deep water sharks, like goblin sharks and lantern sharks, they'll swim up to the shallow zone, right? So that was a really cool encounter. And probably like maybe a rarer encounter. These guys, they just pop up in different parts of the world, and they're not very commonly seen, so that's some great footage. Next we got Odontaspididae, the sand tiger sharks. This is also a very favorite group. There are 3 species. Carcharis taurus, the sand tiger, Odontaspis ferox, the small-tooth sand tiger, and then Odontaspis noronha, the big-eye sand tiger. One of my goofier, older videos, I talked about the 7 scary sharks you never heard of, and big-eye sand tiger is one of them. Really the monster of the deep. Very, very terrifying looking animal. You'll never run into it in the water. But anyway, sand tiger sharks are really cool in the sense that they have these very gnarly teeth. The classic sand tiger, Carcharis taurus, is very, very popular in aquariums. And one thing that makes them not unique, other sharks do this, but they have this thing called intrauterine cannibalism, wherein like mama sand tiger will have a couple, like, this is not relaxing. This is not something to fall asleep to. Oh man, I'll just sum it up as Hunger Games. Sand tiger sharks play the Hunger Games, and I'll just leave it at that. So anyway, that's really dark. This really was supposed to be a let's put the viewers to sleep session, but that's, man. If you are asleep and listening to that, I'm really sorry if you had a nightmare. That's really sad. Moving on, Pseudocarcharidae. This is the crocodile shark, Pseudocarcharius camoharai. Huh. Literally reading that right now. Interesting. Crocodile sharks, I actually was lucky enough to see a sample of one. I was in the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, who is not endorsing this video, but they actually do have a crocodile shark in their collection. And like that, it's a really cool holding because crocodile sharks, they do not live here. They're not from the United States. And crocodile sharks look really weird. They kind of are a cigar-looking shape, right? Not a very popular shark species, but it sort of is like this cigar-looking shape with pronounced teeth. I don't know how they got their name, crocodile shark. Actually, you know what? Let's look at a picture just to make sure I got that right, because why would you call this a crocodile shark? Oh, that crisp page sound. Okay, here we go. Nope, looks like a cigar. I don't get why this is called a crocodile shark. But anyway, not a very common species, and or not a very commonly known species, but it's related to white sharks and sand tigers. It's part of the same family, and recently I think one showed up in Britain, or one washed up on a British beach, and that got some traction this year. This happened in February, so but yeah, pretty mysterious. As for other mysterious sharks, we got Megachasmidae, the megamouth. Which is it's funny, you think of like the big planktivorous sharks being the whale shark and, you know, the basking shark, but the megamouth is like number 3 in that group, and megamouths were recently discovered. That was, I think, the first megamouth emerged in the 1970s. Big, beautiful animal, and it's amazing. We have never seen it before. There's never gonna be a megalodon. Like, don't ever assume I'm gonna support megalodon. It's a terrible idea. But megamouth, I mean, you know, that happened. So, but megamouth does not go after whales, and, you know, doesn't leave whale scars and stuff like that. You know, like, no, nothing. It's relaxing. No megalodon. Moving on, Heterodon, the basking shark. Basking shark, I mean, honestly, basking shark is going to be the closest thing you get to megalodon in the sense that it is a gigantic lamnid. You know, it will have the same body type, does not have the same teeth type, or tooth type, obviously. Basking sharks, but it will have the same very dramatic, pronounced build. Tall dorsal fins, you know, powerful body, cold water species. Basking sharks are very popular in Scotland. You can go scuba diving and snorkeling with them. It's a very popular activity. And I mean, basking sharks are, you know, you see them on whale watches. Actually, I've seen one before. They're just. It's really great that their biology means that they love to be at the surface, because it's a higher chance of people interacting with it, you know, and getting the thrill of seeing one of these creatures in the wild it's very fantastic. Unfortunately, that same biology has led to them being hurt because people used to harpoon basking sharks, and specifically basking shark hunters. They would used to employ people flying airplanes, and they would kind of scout the waters looking for basking sharks. And when they find them, they would radio into the boat, and the boat would go after the shark itself. But today, that really does not happen as much, and you know, they're becoming the species essential to ecotourism. And plus, like in Britain, in the British Isles, and Ireland, I think, basking sharks have an interesting cultural legacy. There's a lot of interesting and beautiful legends and art and stories surrounding basking sharks, and they have a very beautiful cold water command, and this is one of my personal favorite species. I'm lucky to see basking sharks in wintertime. Wintertime is when they come over to my part of the world. Super cool. Next we got Alopiidae, the thresher sharks. There are 3 species of thresher: pelagic thresher, Alopias pelagicus; big eye thresher, Alopias superciliosus; and thresher shark, Alopias vulpinus. And I don't really know too much about threshers. I've never seen a thresher shark, actually, but it's interesting. They have the unique tail, the long tail that is used to stun fish. And I think recently there was a video released about kind of documenting threshing shark hunting habits, where they'll use the tail as sort of a whip to stun fish, and then they'll chase after it. Very unique build. And actually, on the subject of cute sharks, they have these very adorable, compressed, pug-nosed faces, right? And big eyes. There's a popular meme going around it's a picture of one of the thresher sharks, and he has this kind of like scared look on his face, and you could just put whatever caption you want, but actually, wait a minute. No, I did not invent that. Did I invent? Okay, I can't take credit for that meme. I think someone else took credit for that meme, but like, it's weird. I'm having a weird flashback. I've seen that picture before. I've used that picture to comment on somebody else's thing, and I made a meme on a meme generator from it. And then I saw someone else make a meme of it, who I'm not. I don't know. That's weird. I wonder if I made a meme. I don't know. Pressure sharks are very memeable. Sorry. Detracted a little bit. Moving on. Finally, we have from the lamniforms the Lamnidae, which are the mackerel sharks. So these are the kings of the deep. These are the white shark, the two makos, the short fin mako, long fin mako, and then the lesser known salmon shark and poor bugle shark. All of these are compressed torpedoes, perfectly designed for hunting, you know, giant, curving, charismatic shark fins and teeth, and, you know, probably, actually, I would say definitely the most fearsome looking sharks in the sea, I would say. Just because, I mean, the white shark anchors the entire family in that cultural gravity, but the short fin mako, long fin mako, salmon, and poor bugle sharks, they're sort of these very interesting variants of that classic terrifying image of what a lot of people think a shark is. And it's kind of cool to see in context that this is a very rare look. It's a very rare body type, but at the same time, it's left such a very fantastically powerful impact on our species and our culture. So it is kind of cool to acknowledge that from a respectful distance. So it's interesting. But let's move on to more colorful looking sharks, and these are sharks that I don't know very well because these are Orlectolobiforms, and Orlectolobiforms, they live in the Indo-Pacific and Pacific. They don't really, we have a couple in the Atlantic, but not a lot. So first we got the Paraskeliidae, or no, Paraskeli, oh yeah, I got that right, Paraskeliidae. The collared carpet sharks, I don't know anything about these. All I know is that carpet sharks are very, very pretty, and they live in the Indian Ocean and Indo-Pacific, and that is it. I literally, oh, necklace carpet sharks, that's one I've heard of necklace carpet sharks before. Very, very pretty. Necklace carpet sharks actually are cool in the sense that their body type is very slinky. It looks like a necklace. That's kind of a cop-out because that's its name, I know, but it's a very slinky, it feels like this is something you can sort of wear, you know. It's a very long, slinky body type and very, very colorful. So, okay, maybe I know something about these. But again, these are Indo-Pacific, Indian Ocean species. That is, right, as of now, I mean, I would love to learn about that system someday, but as of now, that's not really my bag, man. So I don't know this group that well. What we got? Brachyluridae, blind sharks. I don't know anything about blind sharks. They're not as pretty as carpet sharks. That is one thing I know. They're usually more of a uniform color. Huh. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is something. Orlectolobidae, the wobegongs. This was Steve Irwin's favorite shark, wobegongs. Wobegongs are popular in Australia, but you also have them in Japan and other parts of the Indo-Pacific. They're flat-ish, I'll say compressed, squishy, masters of camouflage. They have these interesting tassels and ornaments around their mouths and fins that, they make these interesting tendrils that they blend so well into a coral reef or bottom rocky reef landscape, seascape. I'm sorry. They blend in perfectly, and sort of like angel sharks, they also have that kind of ambush predator trap mentality. Very, very nasty teeth. You never want to step on one or accidentally poke one or get too close to one, because those teeth are needly perfect for spearing fish, but they'll nab you if you do that. So it's a very, very pretty group, and again, Steve Irwin loved them in his shark special. I think his chief goal was tiger sharks for the special, but he really wanted to visit wobegongs in there's a reef that it seemed like he was familiar with it, to the point where this was like his third or fourth trip, and that he knew that this family of wobegongs was there. And it's just, it is really cool to see that this was his favorite group. You know, these were his favorite sharks. So I don't know, really, really cool. We got the Hemiskeliidae, the long-tailed carpet sharks. These, okay, so these are these epaulet sharks? These are epaulet sharks. Okay, so these are the sharks that, you've seen them on some specials. They walk on the seafloor. It's pretty adorable, actually. They'll move their pectoral fins in such a way that they'll kind of march on the seabed as a way to get around. I believe members of this group, sometimes they'll use this ability to move from one tidal pool to another. Not 100% sure about that because this group is not a group I'm very familiar with. But also very, very pretty species. Orlectolobiforms in general are kind of like the painting sharks. You know, they're extremely colorful, gorgeous, almost unparalleled in their color patterns. The cat sharks, which we'll get to in a second, they're also very, very pretty. But yeah, epaulet sharks, they march sometimes. Stegostomatidae, the zebra sharks. This is a little bizarre. We are familiar with zebra sharks because zebra sharks are popular in American aquariums. These are the sharks with the very long tails. They're cream colored with the black spots, and they have these fat faces but tiny eyes and smooth backs with the ridges. It's a completely unique look. You've definitely seen this in the Baltimore Aquarium and I think New England Aquarium. No, maybe not the New England Aquarium. Maybe they don't have them. A lot of aquariums have them. I'm surprised though because they don't live here. They don't live anywhere near the United States. Maybe Hawaii. I don't think so though. I thought this was an Indo-Pacific species. So I don't know why we have them. I don't know why we've imported them. Maybe they're very easy to take care of. That gets a little weird. Kind of an interesting side subject. Should aquariums have exotic species or should they reflect local biodiversity? Sorry, nurse sharks. So nurse sharks are pretty popular in the Bahamas. There's this really cool thing that people do. They'll kind of load a dock with food, just scraps of the day, and then the nurse sharks will launch themselves onto that dock. I think that might have been on Shark Week last year, but and they'll just gobble all that up. Nurse sharks have these very unique mouths that they have like a suction power to them, where they'll smush their faces against conch shells and rip out the snail from inside the shell with that kind of this weird vacuum force, right? Nurse sharks are, I think the term is buccal pumpers. I could be wrong about that, but it's like they don't need to move to breathe. They could just sit on the bottom and actively pump water through their gills, right? Not a lot of sharks can do that. And it's a unique feature that separates them from a lot of other species. If nurse sharks are accidentally hooked, which is kind of rare because they don't like, they don't really like pelagic food. They don't show up in shark surveys a lot. They last a long time on something called soak time. Soak time is the amount of time that a hook is left in the water. And a shark on the hook is left in the water. And nurse sharks, since they have the ability to pump water actively through their gills, they don't stress out really that easily. Other sharks that need to move, hammerheads are a great example. They die very quickly on the hook because they need to actively push water through their mouths by swimming. You know, they can't pump water, but nurse sharks can. It's a very helpful adaptation. Finally, from the Orlectolobiforms, we have the Rhynchodontidae. This is the whale shark, Rhynchodon typus. Largest fish in the sea, spotted, beautiful, highly charismatic, even though it's not a predatory shark, so it sort of subverts my argument from last video, but whatever. And yeah, cosmopolitan tropical species, sometimes we get them here, but for the most part, Belize has like a great whale shark ecotourism program. It's very populous in India. Sometimes they accidentally catch them. I think whale sharks actually have a very large, like they lay a lot of eggs. I could be wrong about that, but like there's a lot of baby whale sharks that exist in the world. But like unfortunately, I mean, as they get bigger, they're more susceptible to being captured. And it's a species that needs a lot of attention, but the nice thing is it commands a lot of attention. I mean, it's the largest fish in the sea, very, very beautiful. A lot of people love to dive with them, and I don't know. I think, and their sight's protected too. Sight's Appendix 2, I want to say. One of the first sharks to receive that kind of protection. So that's a good thing. We're doing a lot of right things for whale sharks, and there's always more that we can do, but it's nice that we're paying attention and we're trying to take steps to make sure that this beautiful sea titan will be okay for the future. But anyway, moving on. Finally, we got the Crocodile Sharks. So these are kind of the classic sharks. You got Sclerinidae, the cat sharks. This is the largest, oh god, largest family of sharks in the world. Oh, there might be 100. That's nuts. How many are there? That's like, okay, maybe not 100, but like 70? Maybe it is 100. There's a lot of them. And a lot of cat sharks, they like to live in the, well, I mean, not deep water. Okay, yeah, some are deep water sharks, like the Aprosteris group. They're deep water species, so you'll never see them. But then some of them like to be in coral reefs. Some of them are like the swell shark. Swell shark is a cat shark, right? Oh, I don't want to say the wrong. Yep, swell shark is a cat shark, Cephaloscelium ventriosum. They're colorful species. The coral cat shark used to be my favorite shark as a kid because it was just really pretty and small. I had this weird obsession with small things for some reason, like small animals. Yeah, I mean, cat sharks are very chill, very pretty. In the States, the chained cat shark, Scalerinus radifer, is very popular in aquariums. You usually see a bunch of them. If you ever see like a shark egg, and you see like a light next to the egg, and you can see the embryo inside, it's usually a chained cat shark egg. Sometimes they're called chained dogfish. That's not a good term. Because dogfish are squaliforms usually, so please refrain from calling these guys chained dogfish. Chained cat shark is the better term because it's a kind of cat shark. We've got Proskylidae, the finback cat sharks. That's a group I don't know very well, actually. I think I literally have nothing to say about it. I don't know this group very well. Oh man, Pseudotriachidae, the false cat sharks. That's a little bit more familiar because we do have Pseudotriachus microdon in the mid-Atlantic. This is the false cat shark. All I got is that it's a deep water species. Very mysterious group. I don't really know much about them. Leptocariidae, the barbelled hound sharks, which is one animal, it's one species. Leptocarius smithii. Never heard of that before. I don't know what that shark is. So let's look it up really quick. Page 176. Very interesting. What are you? Leptocariidae. Okay, what is this? Angola to Mauritania, possibly Mediterranean. Okay. Critically, no. Sorry, near threatened. Near threatened. What does it look like? It's a very interesting looking shark. It's very long, narrow, but these pointy fins, like these pointy, sharp, equally sized dorsal fins, very sharp, and actually almost equally sized anal fin too. What a weird looking shark. Yeah, if you're interested, look up Leptocarius smithii. This is Leptocarias smithii. Interesting. What a weird looking shark. Anyway. Triachidae, hound sharks. Now this is a group I like. This is a group I'm very familiar with. Not only because of Musculus canis, the dusky smoothhound, which I have talked about to death. It's the color changing shark. It is populous in Chesapeake Bay, Delaware Bay, Mid-Atlantic. It's everywhere. Loves crabs. The most voracious enemy of the lobster. I keep saying everything about it, you know, but it's a beautiful animal. The thing about hound sharks is that they have this classy look. You know, they don't have as big teeth. They have these small teeth, kind of contained, very smooth bodies, equally sized dorsal fins. It's like a very classy shark. I don't know. In certainly Greek frescoes, I want to say Greek frescoes, like Mediterranean art, these sharks are pretty popular. I think ancient like Roman paintings and Roman like decor, like floor patterns, I don't know, mosaics, there we go, mosaics, will depict this shark species, or not this species, but this group of sharks, the Smoothhounds. And I think that's really beautiful. This really is kind of like the Adonis group to me. This is like the archetypical, like classy, the most handsome of sharks, like these guys right here. I mean, that's what I think. I'm sure there are people who disagree, but I think other shark species are either maybe, you know, like, I don't know, like hound sharks, Triachidae, it's the perfect blend of that kind of imposing, tall dorsal fin command look a little bit, but then that graceful, smooth, like calm, harmless, but compelling beauty. It's a very, very pretty, very handsome group. One of the most famous is on the west coast of the United States. This is, where are you? Triachus semifasciata, the leopard shark. Leopard shark is very popular in aquariums like Monterey Bay Aquarium. Lots of leopard sharks. Handsome group. I love these guys. I love these guys a lot, actually. So, but I love all sharks equally. Moving on, we got Hemigaliidae, the weasel sharks. So these guys are Hemipristis elongatus, a snaggletooth shark. There are fossil teeth of this species in the mid-Atlantic, but we do not have living weasel sharks. And the teeth are very interesting. They're small, serrated, very distinctive looking. Hook-tooth shark, Australian weasel sharks. I really don't know much about weasel sharks, actually, man. But snaggletooth shark, it's interesting to see that Hemipristis, that's a prehistoric genus too. So we have a living example, which is fantastic, but then a lot of the fossils, at least some of the most popular fossils here in the mid-Atlantic, they are of this genus, which doesn't exist here anymore. I wonder why that change has happened. Did we push them out, or did the climate just, naturally phase them out? Was there a big temperature change? And it probably was. That's kind of what happened in the Mediterranean. Mediterranean used to be tropical and have a lot of tropical shark species like tiger sharks. Bull sharks were pretty popular in the Mediterranean as well. And then I don't know if the Messinian salinity crisis happened after that or before that, but there was a weird event where the Mediterranean sort of partially dried up, kind of. And then furthermore, somewhere in that geologic time scale, the temperature cooled drastically to the point where tiger sharks, bull sharks, a lot of tropical shark species disappeared. And you got a much more cool water, temperate environment like basking sharks and smoothhounds, and maybe white sharks. I could be wrong about that, but and dogfish. So cool water species. So that's a big change. So I wonder if something similar, like a weird climatic shift, happened with weasel sharks in this part of the world. But anyway, moving on. Crocodile, the most classic shark. I know these are requiem sharks, which is a very strange name. I think requiem shark is a really weird name because I don't mind calling these the classic sharks. We can call these classic sharks. These are exactly what people think about when they think of sharks, I don't even need to describe it. Just think of the word shark. This is what it is, basically. Teeth, pointy, sharp looking build, fast. That's what it is, classic sharks. Bull sharks are part of this group, oceanic whitetips, tiger sharks, blue sharks, and lesser known shark species, specifically the river sharks, which please check out that episode, because river sharks are not well known and they deserve a lot of attention. That's the group of sharks that I'm the most worried about. Reasons described in that video. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird, mysterious species that people don't really know. Pig-eye shark. Pig-eye shark, a lot of people confuse them with bull sharks, but they're a separate species. Pondicherry shark, a lot of people don't know about that. Dusky shark, that should be more popular. Dusky sharks, they're in trouble in the Mid-Atlantic. Yeah, not much to say. White-tip reef shark. White-tip reef shark, a very memeable shark. Trianodon obesus. Yeah, I should associate. Oh, lemon shark. Lemon sharks are part of this group too. I forgot about those guys. But yeah, I don't know what to say. This is your classic shark, ladies and gentlemen. This is the group. Like, if you ever want to get into sharks, this is a good place to start. And it's kind of cool to see, as you move further away from this family, how diverse sharks really are. Finally, we're going to end on the hammerheads, Sphaernidae. And I'm going to name all the hammerheads because a lot of people think hammerhead shark is just one species, and it's not. It's like 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8. It's 8 species. That was close, right? You got Eusphyra blockii, the winghead shark, which is crazy looking. Looks like an emaciated hammerhead. You got Sphaerna corona, the scalped bonnet head. Sphaerna lewini, the scalped hammerhead. Sphaerna midea, the scoophead shark. Sphaerna macaron, the great hammerhead. Sphaerna tibero, the bonnethead shark, which is one of my favorites. Sphaerna tudes, the small eye hammerhead. And then Sphaerna zygina, the smooth hammerhead. And what can I say? You know what a hammerhead looks like. They're very freaky looking. I think they're super cool and unique, and they have the tallest dorsal fin in the shark world, proportionally massive dorsal fin, and it's gotten them in trouble because of shark finning, but it also kind of creates this very fantastic commanding presence, very intimidating presence. I just think they're really powerful looking animals, and the hammerhead doesn't bother me, but it does bother some people, and I guess I could kind of see that. So yeah, but anyway. The shark world is very diverse, and if you've noticed, the earlier in the video is like the squaliforms and the hexanchiforms, and especially the pristiophoriforms, they're really not well known. Whereas later in the video, you know, the lamniforms, carcharandoforms, electolobiforms, a lot of those species are more familiar. And I think it's a testament to the fact that, you know, since we interact with the coastal zone more, because, you know, we are terrestrial species who like to go to the beach and scuba dive, you know, we're more exposed to that group. But deep water species, they're definitely more mysterious, and they're much less accessible. And we're just really, I don't want to say we're beginning, because we've made a lot of progress in science when it comes to sharks. But we are definitely not done. We're kind of maybe halfway there, I think. You know, I think there are 1,000 species in the world, personally. It's just a weird gut guess, you know, but considering the rate of increase, because when, you know, I was starting to get into sharks when I was little, and this was like the 90s, we had 360 shark species, and now it's 512. That is a massive increase of species named in 20 years. So what's going to happen 20 years from now? Will there be another group of 100 sharks named, right? So I think in my lifetime, or not in my lifetime, but I think when everything is said and done, and all the genetics clear, and, you know, all the places of the world are explored beyond my lifetime, there will be 1,000 species of shark in the world. So anyway, thank you for watching or listening or just snoozing to this. I hope this was kind of, I don't know, relaxing, interesting, calming, maybe not. Maybe it opened your mind to sharks, or maybe it was just something to listen to. I don't really know. It's a very strange way to end the season, but at the same time, I mean, I really wouldn't have it any other way, because sometimes it's hard to get to sleep, and it's nice to have just something to listen to, especially if you love sharks, and it's just, I don't know. If you fell asleep to this, I'm very, very happy that I help tuck you in by reading shark facts. You're a true lover of the Salakian world. It's super strange, but I don't know. We could all use a break. Speaking of which, I am going to be working on different projects, so I'm not going to do another episode for a while. But stay tuned. There will be other Dr. Jaws videos coming, and I'm working on some right now. And later on this year, we'll begin Season 3, and I actually was in talks with somebody else today to get that season going. Who could that be? And if this season happens, what is it going to be like? So please like and subscribe and stay tuned. There's definitely more to come from Dr. Jaws. And as always, leave a comment and just reach out if you ever have any questions or would like me to talk about a specific topic. And please, if you think this is great, share with your friends. Or, again, subscribe. Subscribers are awesome. But anyway, if you watched all the episodes, thank you. And thank you for sharing this journey. And I hope it was enlightening. And yeah, I'll see you around. Sharks and Coffee Season 2. Had a lot of fun. Good night.